This is a very tough case for the prosecution. I think observers on both sides agree. Here's why. Once this trial gets started, we're going to hear that 911 tape in its entirety. And when you listen to it from beginning to end, remember, the prosecution has not only the burden to prove second-degree murder, that means a depraved heart. You have to ask yourself, did George Zimmerman act like as if I drove a car into a crowd of people? That's the law school example. Substantially certain that he would end up killing someone. That's what the prosecution has to prove. It's a very high burden. And then they additionally have to disprove the possibility of self-defense. And then we look at the evidence of George Zimmerman's injuries, the grass on his back, the witness testimony that he was being beaten down MMA style. This is a very tough case for the prosecution.
If second-degree murder, if the jury does not find there's enough evidence for second-degree murder, what other options do they have?
Yes, second-degree murder means that he acted with that depraved heart, substantially certain that something would happen, to wit, someone's death. When you go down to manslaughter, that's a lesser, that's maybe an unintentional killing that happened with such a high degree of negligence. It's essentially an imperfect self-defense. So it's a lesser included offense that the jury may consider. But think about this. The jury, the prosecution has to put on evidence of that second-degree murder. If the jury finds that they haven't met their burden on second-degree murder, they may say, look, you haven't met your burden on anything. You overshot, and that may lean towards an acquittal.
If you're George Zimmerman's defense attorney, what kind of jurors are you looking for as this jury selection process gets underway today?
Well, it's a myth that you want just fair and impartial jurors. Each side wants the juror that's going to be most partial to them. The reality here is you're not going to find jurors who have heard nothing at all about this case, and that's okay. The key is going to be knowing what they know. Can they be fair and impartial? Can they approach this case with an open mind? And you, of course, there are the obvious ones you want to, as a defense attorney, you may want to avoid people who are related to law enforcement, who have been victims of crimes, but they would be excused for cause. The one thing you have to be careful of, and I don't think any of these attorneys are going to try, cannot exclude jurors based on race. As racially charged as this case has been, that is directly in contravention of Supreme Court law in Batson. You cannot use your peremptory challenges to exclude jurors based on their race.